What's up, Ragin Nation? How's it going? This is Alex, and you're watching The Road to TF5. This is just a web series. We're talking about Transformers 5. This is episode number 17. And if you remember in my previous episode, I mentioned how director Michael Bay, executive producer Steven Spielberg, and producer Lorenzo de Bonaventura were putting together a team of writers led by writer Akiva Goldsman to create the Transformers cinematic universe. Okay? This is all very exciting because it's a step in a new direction of Transformers films. This is going to be crazy, okay? I don't know how they're going to do this, but it just means that for us as fans, we're going to be getting more and more films. Now, there's been a new development, and this comes from Hasbro CEO Brian Goldner, and he has something to say about the development of this. But before I mention about this, let's just talk about cinematic universe as a whole, okay? First of all, Marvel Cinematic Universe from Disney, very, very successful. I can see while Paramount and Hasbro would want to do this. Obviously, the Marvel films are getting a lot of success. If you look at their box office record, it is just gradually reaching to a real high point of financial success. They've made a lot of money with the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and it's not going to quit. Okay, check out Avengers Age of Ultron and we'll see how big that opens after hype from all the way back to 2008 when Iron Man first came out. And then of course you have Warner Brothers, which kicked off their DC Cinematic Universe with Man of Steel, and then now it's going to move on to Batman vs. Superman Dawn of Justice and a whole lot of other films that they've announced all the way till 2020. So that's their cinematic universe. And then of course there's Sony Pictures, which kind of hit a brick wall with their Spider-Man cinematic universe, so they stopped with that. But they got their Ghostbusters cinematic universe, which I'm not sure how it's going to turn out, but that's their plan. As well as recently announced, they want to start their own comic book cinematic universe with characters from Valiant Comics. I don't know a whole lot about that, but they started. They're going to start work on. I believe the character's name is Bloodshot or something like that. Apparently, it's a 5-film anthology, okay? And of course, Disney has their Star Wars anthology, which is essentially their Star Wars cinematic universe. So you can see how Paramount Pictures and Hasbro, they want to jump on this cinematic universe frenzy, if you will. Because, first of all, it makes a lot of money. And second, it keeps the audience on their toes. It makes them want to see more because a lot of the films feel very connected and it's all part of a bigger story. All right, so let's just see what Brian Goldner had to say. Okay, here's what he had to say. Our plan with the studio and filmmakers, you may have heard some writers being hired, and we have in fact brought in Akiva Goldsman to lead a group of writers to really create a strategic plan around Transformers. We think there are any number of stories to be told from the brand that has been around for 30 years with amazing canon and mythology. We would expect the sequel to Transformers movie, Transformers 4 that is, to happen in 2017. So, it's not happening in 2016 as a lot of people thought, okay? You thought wrong, okay? It's not happening in 2016. 2017 is the earliest that it could happen because they're only starting the writing process and they haven't even started writing it. They're just gathering a team of writers and they're in a think tank. They're just thinking about what they can do to expand the story on a grander scale. So this is all very exciting. At least it's exciting for me. Now, another question is, of course, is Michael Bay coming back? I'm pretty sure he's coming back, okay? Right now, he's working on the Benghazi drama, 13 Hours, and we're not going to hear a whole lot about that. Right now, they're in pre-production, so there's not a whole lot to talk about publicly, but then once it comes down to filming, they're most likely going to be filming in the Middle East or somewhere out there, okay? They're filming out there, so we won't hear a whole lot about it, so there won't be a whole lot of publicity and media about it while they're filming, okay? I think the only thing we'll know about is the fact that they're filming. By the time that they're done filming, they'll be ready to work on, or rather Michael Bay will be ready to work on Transformers 5, okay? So that's what I think is going to happen. Most likely Michael Bay is coming back. But now that they've hired Akiva Goldsman to lead the team of writers, what I'm pretty positive about is that Aaron Kruger is not coming back, which in my opinion is a good thing. I am not a fan of his work. I'm definitely not a fan of his work in the Transformers films. I just find that his ability to write a coherent story along with dialogue, like decent dialogue, is just not very good. Okay, so I'm looking forward to seeing who they bring on next. Okay, so what I want to leave you off with is I'm going to leave you off with my top 10 list of things that could happen with a Transformers cinematic universe. Okay, let's start off with number 10. Introduction of new human characters. That's what's going to happen. If we're going to see more Transformers films, we're going to see more new human characters. Okay, it's inevitable. Okay, we're going to see Mark Wahlberg, but we're definitely going to see an introduction of new human characters. All right. Number 9, films borrowing more from parts of the Transformers lore that we haven't seen yet. Okay, what I mean by that is that we're going to see more of these live action films and sequels that will take more inspiration from other parts of the Transformers mythos that we haven't seen yet. Okay, so that's a great thing. There's going to be a lot of inspiration from a lot of the stories that you know of, whether it be from G1 or animated or Prime or even the comics. Okay, so we're going to see more of that. Okay, because if you don't already know, Revenge of the Fallen, Dark of the Moon, and Age of Extinction all have inspiration from G1 or a comic book or whatever. All right. Number 8 is that the films can happen they can happen at any part of the mythos, or rather can happen in any point in time. It doesn't have to happen like for example right after Age of Extinction. It could happen any time and they could tie in some way or another. It can in fact happen parallel to the events of Age of Extinction or Dark of the Moon. Okay, because there's so many different stories to tell, but the one thing you got to know is that they're all connected. Which brings me to number 7, which is the stories are connected. They're all connected, and there's going to be better continuity. If you didn't already notice, the continuity between the existing sequels, or rather the previous sequels in the Transformers live action films, is done very, very poorly. The continuity is very lacking. It's not very well connected. It's not a direct connection. They might be sequels, but they're very standalone sequels. Okay, even though Age of Extinction happens after the events of Dark of the Moon, and they acknowledge that at the beginning of the movie, other than that, there is no other connection. I mean, there's no Sam Witwicky character. Mark Wahlberg is a new character. I mean, the fact that they bring in all new Autobots without any explanation of where the other ones went and where these new ones came from shows that there really isn't any continuity. So with the cinematic universe, there's going to be better continuity, considering the fact that the writers will have planned out all the other films in advance and how they're supposed to play out. All right. And that also brings me to number 6, and that is we're going to see Transformers live action films ending with cliffhangers. Okay? That's highly possible. All right? We might see a really, really great story. I mean, like a grand story in one single film, but then it's going to end with a cliffhanger, which will make us want to watch the next one. And I think that's a good thing. All right? I mean, it's a good thing in the sense that we're going to get more movies. And also, it is a bigger story. It doesn't just always just end with a beginning, middle, and end, and then it's over. Okay, with no knowledge of whether we're going to see another one. We're going to see other ones, and it's guaranteed. Okay, and that brings us to number 5, and we're going to get more characters with more character-driven stories. How do I know this? Well, the fact that they're going to be introducing more characters shows us that we're going to be seeing the writers pull characters pulling characters with interesting storylines or backgrounds. Okay, it's not going to be a team of Autobots which are going to have a balanced level of screen time. Maybe perhaps we're going to see smaller stories where the stories are more character centric. Okay, so that's what could happen. All right, which leads me to number 4, and that is we're going to see Transformers films that don't have Bumblebee and Optimus Prime as the lead Autobots. Okay? We always see Optimus Prime. We always see Bumblebee. Well, here's our opportunity to see a movie where it's not just Optimus Prime and Bumblebee. It's going to be other Autobots and other characters that maybe we've never even seen before in any of the last 4 films. That's highly possible, okay? So that's really, really exciting. Number 3, we're going to see more films that are going to come out more often than not. What I mean by that is that typically we wait 2-3 years. But look at Star Wars. They're going to be pumping out a new film every year, just like Marvel. Marvel pumps out 2 to 3 films a year. But you know what? I think Star Wars pumps them out more reasonably, and that is Episode 7 in 1 year, a spin-off in the next year, Episode 8 in the year after that, and then a spin-off in the year after that, and finally Episode 9. 1 film every year for the next 5 years. Very, very exciting. Keeps the audience and the fans on their toes, okay? So that's what could happen. If we get a Transformers Cinematic Universe, believe me, we're going to get more films, and it's going to really, really keep the fans satisfied, okay? Which also brings us to number 2. It can't always be these big explosion Michael Bay fest type films, okay? If we're going to be getting Transformers films often, like once per year, that means that we're going to be getting films, Transformers films, from other directors, ones that don't handle big Michael Bay-esque films like Michael Bay does, okay? And also, you know, I'm pretty sure Michael Bay will only want to direct the main films as opposed to all of the films, including, or you know, and I'm talking about the smaller films, the more character-centric films, which are centered around fewer characters and less action, you know what I'm saying? So we're going to be getting smaller films that are on a smaller scale, ones that aren't so grand, which I don't have a problem with. If it's more character driven and a better story, I'm down with it as long as there's a Transformers story there. And which leads me to number 1. If we're going to be getting smaller films and we're getting more Transformers films more often, once every year, that means we're going to be getting non-Michael Bay directed Transformers live action films, okay? So for fans that don't want to see Michael Bay directing a Transformers film, it's your lucky day. It's actually going to happen, okay? It won't be on the same level as Michael Bay's movies. They might not even have the same budget as a Michael Bay directed movie. As a matter of fact, I believe Paramount Studios will not give that non-Michael Bay director such a large budget for their smaller film. But at least we're going to be seeing something different, a different direction, a different story, and most likely a different formula, okay? Because a lot of the Michael Bay, in fact, the Michael Bay directed Transformers sequels are all very formulaic, okay? They're just different in the sense that they take place in different areas or locations, and they have different characters, but essentially it's the same kind of formula, all right? They all lead up to a grand battle, all right? So anyways, that's what's happening. This is very, very exciting. I'm looking forward to it, and as soon as we're going to get a story is in 2017, and most likely it's going to be directed by Michael Bay, but most likely it won't be written by Aaron Kruger, which is a great thing, okay? So there you have it. Very, very, very exciting, okay? Now, the fact that this is really happening means we're going to be getting a lot of new characters. I want you guys to let me know in the comments section what stories from the G1 mythos, or even from the Dreamwave Comics mythos, or even from animated or Prime, or even any of the, you know, the Japanese series would you like to see? There's some very, very unique stories that the mythos has that could translate really, really well in live action, okay? There's some stories that are very, very, like, iconic that I think would be brought to the cinematic universe in a very, very excellent way, for lack of a better term. I don't know, but all I know is that this is happening, and I'm super excited about it. 2017 is when it's happening, and man, this is going to be huge. Anyways, that's all I got to say in this video. This is your latest update for the road to Transformers 5. If you want to see more videos, make sure you subscribe to this channel, because this is your one-stop shop for Transformers 5 news on YouTube. And also, if you want to talk more about it, I got Facebook, facebook.com/The Ragin Nation. You can check out all the discussion that's happening there, and also you can follow me on Twitter at Ragin Nation. There you go. Tweet me at Ragin Nation. We can talk more about it. You can chat with me directly. And there you have it. That's all I got to say in this video. And my name is Alex Yu. I'll see you next time. Stay tuned for the next video. Peace. Ragin Nation. And what he mentioned is that, or rather, he asked me this question.